Welcome to Keep It Electric with Tremaine Person, episode 46. This recording is taking place on Tuesday, August 13th. The Mariners are a half game back of the Houston Astros in the AL West. Now, pop quiz. Can anybody tell me how many runs the Mets scored this weekend? Good Lord. Definitely shouldn't have taken the under in all three games here. Just wow. Hands down the most complete series I've seen from the Mariners this season, and the timing couldn't really be better. I'll get to that in just a minute. But first things first, a couple of transactions happened over the weekend here. Ryan Bliss, who I'm a big fan of, and reliever Eduard Bazardo were optioned back to AAA Tacoma. Reliever Jonathan Hernandez cleared waivers, and he was sent outright to Tacoma as well. Julio Rodriguez was activated from the IL, as those who watched the game this Sunday saw him appear as the DH. The contract of Troy Taylor was selected from AA Arkansas. This one I found pretty interesting because he was just not on my radar. I haven't been following this guy at all, but he was quickly moving his way through the organization. 12th round pick by the Mariners in 2022. Started in Modesto in April last year, was in High A Everett by August, in Double A Arkansas in May of this year, and got the call up here in August. A lot of growth in a year from him. The season in the minors, he racked up 21 saves, made 40 appearances with an ERA at 1.27, 150 in Everett, 1.27 in Arkansas, which I hear is actually less hitter-friendly, but a lot of pitchers really like to get the call from there. Think about Brian Wu, Bryce Miller. They were all Arkansas guys. We really like to pull from that tree when it comes to our younger arms. They really like Taylor's slider and two-seamer. They believe it presents a difficult matchup against both righties and lefties due to the significant movement he has on both of those pitches. As we saw on Sunday night, he struck out 2 with that slider to end the game. Excited to see what comes of his time on the MLB roster. After 42 games as a Seattle Mariner, the organization has quickly decided to extend Victor Robles. In those 42 games, he's hit .303 with a 139 RC+. He's signed an extension for 2 years, $9.79 million with a club option for 2027. Plus over $2 million in incentives. He can buy himself another set of pet monkeys, maybe another house for them. Who knows? The sky's the limit for Victor Robles right now. For those who don't know his history, he was a highly touted prospect in the Washington Nationals organization, played a pivotal role in their World Series run in 2019, couldn't really get settled in the years after. After he struggled to produce at the beginning of the season, he was DFA'd by the Nationals, leading to the Mariners picking up his contract. Clearly, a change of scenery was needed because he's done nothing but produce here in Seattle. He stepped in to fill the shoes of Julio in center field. Personally, I absolutely love this dude's energy. He brings energy and emotion to a team that honestly, I think they actually lack visibility and charisma at times. He took center stage this Sunday, mic'd up, screaming at the top of his lungs, hyping up the players around him, feeding off the energy of the fans. Hell, he sold me on finding a way to maybe even get my own pet monkey or 2 or 7. I don't know. Whatever this dude is drinking, I want some of it because I'm on the Victor Robles hype train right now. I even started researching actually what it does, what it takes to have a pet monkey. I quickly learned that I didn't want one, but it's kind of a hilarious search if you have the time. It takes a pretty dedicated human to sign up for something like that. But regardless, what a great find, a great addition, and a shot in the arm for this franchise right now. The other awesome thing to watch is to see the responses from his teammates regarding his extension. Looking around on social media, looking at interviews, it's nothing but his teammates extremely pumped at the opportunity to potentially spend another couple seasons playing alongside him. Again, super excited for this addition to the roster. Be right back as we discuss this weekend. If you were to tell me that the Mariners were going to outscore the New York Mets 22-1 over the weekend, I would have laughed right in your face. Holding them to 1 run, to be honest, as amazing as that was, that's something that our pitching staff is completely capable of. We do have the best pitching rotation in the league. Our bullpen is a little beleaguered, sure, a bit of a hodgepodge of arms thrown together due to the many injuries, but ultimately, at their best, they can compete with any other staff night in and night out. But this Mets team, they were coming in hot. They've been on a serious run. They're fighting for a playoff spot just like we are. I was thinking this series was going to be really intense. From a Mets perspective, or Mets fan perspective, they sound kind of similar to us. Apparently, they were thinking Seattle was going to win this series, but it sounds like they are used to underperforming, just as Seattle fans are also used to that with the team here. They kept the Polar Bear Pete Alonso hitless the whole series. I think JD Martinez recorded 1 hit. Winker recorded 2 hits. Crickets were heard from Brandon Nimmo. Literally, the heart of the lineup recorded 3 or 4 hits this entire series. They came in with a game plan, the Mariners did, and their approach worked wonders. The other thing, a lot of whining about the Mets travel schedule. Like, boo-hoo. I don't know if people know this, but the Mariners, like for years, have racked up the most miles via travel schedule year after year. They're actually ranked 3rd this year, and I think a lot of that is because of the interleague play. But they're 3rd in mileage behind the Padres and the Dodgers. The Mets are ranked 9th, 7,000 miles behind the Mariners. So I don't really want to hear it. This is actually kind of a fun exercise when you really look at it. Perhaps we should revisit this topic because it actually sounds pretty fun. But let's take a little deeper of a dive into these 3 games. I'm going to touch on each of them just a little bit more. Here are the numbers from the Mariners starting pitchers from Game 1 through Game 3. Bryce Miller, quality start, 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 walk, 6 Ks. Logan Gilbert, Game 2, quality start, 7 innings pitched, 3 hits allowed, 1 walk, 6 Ks. Luis Castillo, quality start, 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 9 Ks, one in which was a death blow to Jose Iglesias in the top of the 4th. Struck him out with a 96-mile-an-hour sinker that put Iglesias literally on his butt. It wasn't one of his dance moves from his new pop song. I don't really want to poke fun at him. Well, not too much fun at him. But that pitch was absolutely sick. Moved like a two-seamer, just had absolutely wicked movement. What more could you possibly want? You have a chance to win every single game with performances like the ones that we saw this weekend, and the Mariners did. They won all 3, 6-0, 4-0, and 12-1. Now, I was present at T-Mobile Park for this Sunday night baseball game, the first one in Seattle in 20 years, and just, oh my. The fans weren't the only ones ready here. The Mariners put on a show for a national audience that just gave me goosebumps. Cal Raleigh introduced himself to the country, and honestly, I think his price just went up. He's a Scott Boras guy, don't forget that. But to describe the feeling in that ballpark, you could just feel that this was a different kind of game. At the first pitch, it was actually almost silent and eerie. It was almost like you could feel some of the worry, like they were clearly nervous, the crowd, like there were nerves in the crowd, curious of how the team was going to perform under bright lights. Then veteran Jorge Polanco, who, again, I've thrown some shade at lately, he really created the icebreaker in the bottom of the 2nd with that solo shot to center field, and things just suddenly began to loosen up a bit. You could feel the energy in the crowd. Bottom of the 4th, Canzone gets going. Bottom of the 5th, Canzone gets going. Rosarina singles him home, and then Cal Raleigh comes home and hits a 2-run shot. And at that point, it's 4-0. I think that's actually bottom of the 4th, there. We're getting a little happy. Little did we know Cal wasn't done for the day. Bottom of the 6th, Mariners just really opened this thing up, and that's when the party and the shenanigans really began. Like, Leo Rivas singles home Polanco, Robles singles in Raley and Rojas off of a throwing error. Then Cal comes up and hits a 3-run shot. That was his 2nd home run of the game. Fans are dancing. For some odd reason, I'm hearing Chaperone's Hot to Go on repeat. I'm not even sure how many times they played that song during the game last night. It could have just been once, but it was a moment in time for me because I'm elated and I'm celebrating and I'm learning the dance from my girlfriend, to be honest. I didn't know what the hell was going on, but then that melody just like stuck in my head, and it's been in my head for like 3 days. T-Mobile Park turns into a club. Fans are going bonkers. Bottom of the 7th, the Mariners move the game to 12-1. The bases are loaded. J-Rod, who, let's face it, it was not a great game for him, one that we'd want to forget. We'll touch on that. But the bases are loaded here. The crowd is on their feet. At this point, I just kind of start to laugh because it's an 11-run game, and the fans, they're not just rallying behind Julio here. They seem to be just out for blood at this juncture. Like, has anyone ever seen that infamous Simpsons clip? It's like where Homer Simpson is dressed up as Krusty the Clown and he starts beating the crap out of the Krusty burglar, and this kid just starts crying and yelling like, "Stop, stop, he's already dead." I felt like I was that kid for like a split moment. Like I wanted to be the voice of reason because it looked like the Mets had already submitted and the crowd was just like, murder. I'm I'm only kidding, but like I want to say most of the rally was to help get Julio going and just the timing of it all. You know what I mean? So on to Julio, obviously there are mixed reactions about his appearance on Sunday Night Baseball. I'm going to spend some time diving deeper into the Julio saga this week, but because there's so much noise out there about him right now, and I don't think it's fair. But for today, strictly focusing on his performance this Sunday, what did like anyone expect? I'm sure the expectation wasn't a platinum sombrero, which is what he received. He struck out 5 times in all 5 at bats. Definitely a day to forget. But the guy got hurt on the 21st of July. He hasn't played a game or faced major league pitching in about 3 weeks. His timing was going to be off. He was going to strike out. Rumor has it he really, really wanted to play the Sunday night game. It's a milestone game for a lot of players who don't get the opportunity for primetime television simply based on the location alone. Sure, he could have used a rehab assignment, but this really isn't about that. This was for the stage. And to be honest, outside of missing Justin Turner in this lineup, the batting order that they put out on Sunday, like that is eventually going to be a force to be reckoned with down the stretch. Mark my words on that. So we're going to transition into this upcoming series with the Detroit Tigers after a quick break. The Mariners kick off a 9-game road series with a 3-game set in Detroit against the Tigers. Some people may be feeling a little PTSD with the way this series went last week when the Tigers were here in Seattle. I think confidently that this series is not going to go the same way. Tonight's matchup aside, like tonight's matchup is a little different because Tarek Skubal's on the mound for the Tigers. He's going opposite George Kirby, very similar to the matchup we saw last week. Hopefully this one will go George Kirby's way. The Mariners don't really have a good road split this year, but like I just don't see the Tigers strike. Like I don't see them, striking lightning twice or catching lightning in a bottle twice. Kerry Carpenter is back in the lineup for the Tigers. He's listed as a DH just as Julio Rodriguez is listed. Kerry Carpenter is their best hitter. I imagine he's going to be a little sluggish, just as Julio will probably be. So don't expect too much from either of them. The rest of the Tigers lineup, half of them are hitting under the Mendoza line. So, like, come on. I would just be patient with Julio. He's going to get his reps. He needs his reps. He'll be back in no time. I really like this loaded lineup. It's loaded with right-handed hitters tonight, outside of Josh Rojas, who's starting at third base. But the first 4 at the plate for Seattle: Robles, Arozarena, Turner, and Julio. That is plenty to get excited about. I'm very curious to see how this series goes. Thanks for tuning in for another episode of Keep It Electric. See you next time. Go Mariners!